can actually form that relationship so that student can be exposed to what does it take to be a welder. So it might not be here, but it might be a different way to get their certification.
Okay, thanks for your passion and your efforts for bridging that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Go ahead.
You will. Mr. Kroll never lets me.
So these are look today.
Are we discussing the whole program of studies now, or are we just discussing your presentation?
I think there might, I have a couple of questions still on this. I'm just waiting for everyone else to finish up. That works.
You know where I'm going, as I sent you, so
Yes.
I should wait.
Yeah, if you would mind, I just wonder if there are any other questions on just this presentation. That was wrong.
I listened to you tell me that the cost of the AP course is $80. And I heard
Approximately.
this woman right here tell me that there's 500 students. That's $40,000. Now, this is a public school. Now, you know we put a lot of money in a lot of different places. We're talking about best students, quality students, and I think we should put $40,000 into those students. That's my personal opinion. Now, I don't know who makes that decision. I don't know if it's the 9 members here.
It's above my pay grade.
Please?
That's above my pay grade.
Okay. Probably me too. But I would like to see it, as Adam said, if, you know, we pay for that. And these are our best students. We should put some money into our best students. That's what I think. So, I guess that's it. And as for the marine trades, there are so many marine trades in this town, Crystal Warren. The kids don't understand what jobs are available. They don't understand that. You know, you're going to get them into those places. You're going to take them on tours, do whatever, and then say, okay, now we've got this course that's going to get you a job in this area. I mean, people know who doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs are, but they don't know what marine people are.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Just one quick question. How long does a course, because you talked about that the course has been on the program of studies for a number of years and there's been no enrollment. What's your protocol for how long a course will stay on the program of studies, and you'll continue to offer it with little interest before you decide to drop it out?
I don't know that there's a hard, fast rule on that. I'm not aware of the length of time. I can say I'll be aware of a particular length of time.
So what I can tell you, again, is people that have been here longer than I can probably answer the question better, but the general rule of thumb has been, for the most part, everything in the program of studies remains in the program of studies. You know, where that came from, I'm not sure if there is any, if you can offer any type of additional information on that.
I can just simply say I don't think there's a rule of thumb. I think what happens, and has happened in the past, is that you have come to us when you're doing the program of study. You have said, due to a lack of interest in this class, we have taken it off the program of studies, and then you demonstrated that over the last couple of years, like you just did with Italian, that you had 2 students, and that isn't enough to support a class. And you give us the rationale for why you were doing it, and we just say, okay. We don't always say okay. Sometimes we say, what are you doing? But that's always been, I don't think there's ever been any hard, fast rule.
Just as a quick follow-up on that, I think related to the Italian class, it's not just confirming for, I suppose, everybody's benefit. In case I'm right, and if I'm wrong, then you can straighten me out. Having the Italian class on the program of study doesn't require us to hire a specific Italian teacher. That's somebody that's already on the faculty that is able to give that class to the students if, in fact, there is interest sufficient to have a class, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And that's the case with any of the courses, including the film course as well.
Do you have have a number, when you send out the program studies, and the students select the courses, and you get the numbers back, and you put a program and you put a schedule. Do you have a number that you'll drop certain courses out? Because I know if there's a certain, let's say 5, okay, I don't know what number you want to use. You say, well, we're not going to run this course. Then you get the student back in, and the student then repicks other courses so that they can get it done. But I said the magic number of 5. But do you have a number that you say, okay, call the kids in because we can't run this program because of the amount of students?
So I can't say that there's a magic number, but what the process is we'll look at what all of the course selections are. We look at what our, then we break that down into a certain number of sections depending on the number of students that request a specific course. Then we look at what our current personnel is and our staffing, and then as well as the numbers. If we have a low, and I would say anything under 10 most likely will not run. Some exceptions to that might be a 4th-year course sequence where students, knew that as freshmen, if they took this and continued with it, they would be allowed to take this course as a senior. But for the most part, I'd say 10-ish, 12-ish, and again, depending on the staffing needs as well.
Well, if it is a language course, if it's a 12th level course, you would probably teach it in the 3-level course with the teacher.
That's exactly what we're doing this year as well. And so if that's possible to do and we are able to do that, then that is something that we do.
I'm sorry, just one more follow-up. When students select courses that are on the program of studies that end up not being sufficiently enrolled for a course to actually come to fruition, they then have to go back and choose another course, right? Are they then at a disadvantage where a course that they might have wanted to enroll in is full and they're not going to be able to get that course either?
So one of the things we did as of last school year, for this school year, is in our course selection process, we added the alternates. So we find that happens primarily with electives, and occasionally can happen with AP courses because if they're running, the single classes, if they're running at the same time, it makes it hard if they want to take AP Psych and AP Bio in the same period. So we added the alternate section, so what happens is they have a first, second, and third alternate, so we can bump them right into their first alternate, their second alternate. So the schedule then allows us, the engine will build it that way, so we don't have to call them back in. It puts them in a little bit better situation than what you were saying.
I appreciate that, thank
Yeah.
you. But if their second alternate class was filled with other students' first choices, they wouldn't get that second alternate class.
So typically what we'll try to do is, we know the number of sections that are going to be run before we build the schedule. So what we really try to do, and we did a really good job this year, and we're going to get better even next year, is try to foresee and predict those things that could potentially happen. Thus, the first, the second, the third alternate. There are times where once the master schedule is finally built, that there's a handful of students who there was a conflict in their schedule because things ran at the same time, and in which case we call them and then look at those various options and what they do. But for the most part, we're able to foresee those problems, and this alternate 1, 2, 3, provided the students choose alternates when they do their course requests, is worked really well this year.
I guess the only reason why I'm not going down this road at all is, I think what we want to, one thing that at least one of my values would be to ensure that students aren't placed at a disadvantage because of something that we are doing. And if we have courses that are on the program of studies that consistently are getting some interest, but not enough interest to run a class, that maybe it makes sense to consider removing them from the program of studies so that oh, I'm so happy that Mount High School offers Italian. And then they don't get their Italian class, and then because they wanted Italian so much, they also don't get whatever they would have taken in place of Italian back.
It's great, it's great.
Mr. Saviano.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Dibiase, I'm going to direct this to you.
Hello, Mr. Saviano.
Good evening. I've heard a lot, tech talking, college courses and everything. My question to you is, have you recently in the last year tried to get a plumber, a carpenter, or an electrician?
Actually, in terms of our internship programs, or?
No, you personally, have you ever needed to use an electrician, a plumber, or a carpenter
Oh, yes,
in the last year or two?
today. And I have a very difficult time finding somebody that will drive to Cranston, and,
Well-
or even find anybody to. Yes,
So we have kids that go to East Providence Tech, is that right?
correct.
From some of the kids I've heard feedback, or from their parents, that many of those kids feel disenfranchised because the kids that they went to school with up until they got to high school, they were the same kids that now they're disenfranchised from because they're at East Providence High. And so my question to you is, have you ever considered going back to the building program where we used to build a house a year and have the training take place right in this building?
So I'm going to defer, I think, to Mario and to Dr. Andrade. But, before I do that, one of the things that we look at the high school, within that building context, is our technical education program. Is the students are currently building sheds, chairs, things like that. In terms of the home building project, again, that's got a lot of history that I'm sure that you are aware of, that predates us. I know that in its day it was a great program, but this is where I turn it over to Dr. Andrade.
May I say something first, Dr.
Yes,
Andrews?
yes.
You know, we've talked for years now about critical thinking for the children. And there isn't any more critical thinking than building a home. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of ingenuity. And we used to do it. We did it year after year after year. And because we lost money one year because of a real estate crash, the school committee at that time basically said we shouldn't do it.
No, actually, I'm not going to get into an argument with you on that, John. There was losing money for quite some time, and the school committee voted to remove itself from the board of directors for that, and to give it over to the high school so that they could better manage the course selection and what the children needed in order to build a house. But the bottom line is, there is not enough money to build a house. And then in this day and age, there's $160,000, I believe, in that account. And that's because the two houses before that were purchased at a very high cost. So the $160,000, the last house that they built, they didn't build because they spent all the money on the land. So they moved a house that belonged to Mr. Dacon over to the land and set it up there. And you were around for that, so you should remember all of that. And that was the last time, because $160,000 may get you a piece of land, but it certainly won't get you a house. So,
Can I squeeze in just to ask if, is the point of view, I'm wondering if the point of Mr. Saviano bringing this up is to ask if you think it's worth it to gauge whether there would be interest in doing, maybe not that, I don't know, maybe not that exact same program, but something in that realm. Is that what you were getting at?
Teaching plumbing, electrical, carpentry. I mean, you can't get, there's this club that I belong to, There are over 100 members there. The majority of them are those type of people. And I've got to tell you that many of them are earning $150,000 to $175,000 a year, either as an individual or an owner of a company that they worked from this program that we had here. The majority of the carpenters and electricians and plumbers who own their own businesses in Bristol County today were in that home building program. Now, what's going to happen when those people retire? Will we have trained more people to go and do those types of things? I'm just wondering, just thinking.
So the simple answer is yes, that we would, and it's similar to my answer prior, but it just might look different than the old program. So I think we need to look at what are the entry points, so our students can work side by side with master plumbers, master electricians, master carpenters, so that the students can get their feet wet early on and then that application. So again, I don't think it will look like the traditional house building project because we may or may not have the infrastructure to support that based on the enrollment. But to your point, that we have many community partners that may take on students to train those skills, so it might look different. One thing through our conversations with Prepare Rhode Island, which some of our partners were concerned about was whose insurance do these students work under when they might be on a construction site. So Prepare Rhode Island is actually trying to answer those questions. It'll be under their insurance. So a lot more contractors who are feeling a little more comfortable taking students on for, again, for construction when they know that if a student gets hurt, that they're not going to be liable for it. So that was a major kind of concern. But I think through our kind of vision, where students have choice in different pathways as opposed to we're going to hire a construction teacher, hopefully build a house, invest in this, and then we have 6 students who are interested, as opposed to, and then we stop the program, as opposed to we have 6 kids who are really interested, and now we have a partner in pathways for them, and then we don't have to stop it. So I think that's more the vision, but we want students to have that hands-on application and use those business partners, but it might not be as traditional as we have a plumbing program at the high school, but we might have a partnership with Tim the plumber. So I think that's our vision on moving that. So the simple answer is it might not be we're investing in a huge welding company, but we might be working someday down the line with electric boat, and we have students going to electric boat, and they're teaching the kids how to weld. So that's, I know Coventry High School, that's their program right now, and in our conversations with some people, how do we get, our issue with welding is how do we get students to North Kingstown, to Quonset, to learn welding. So it's a transportation issue. So
Well,
we don't want to say no to anything.
Like everything else, everything evolves, and we're such a fast-moving world today. But we're not going to have the carpenters and those type of people. We need to do something about it in our area. Thank you so much for your participation.
So for clarification purposes, do we have students currently working with the types of tradesmen Mr. Saviano is talking about?
I mean, you would know better, but I know we have those conversations to create those.
So one of the things that I can say with our current schedule is we are able to construct certain things within our schedule to allow students opportunities to go off-site and do things. And one of the things we're planning to do for this coming school year is looking at our construction technology and our advanced residential wiring courses, scheduling them so they kind of run back to back and allow our students to go out and go to work sites, look at construction, look at wiring, and get those kinds of experiences. So although we're not building the house, we are able to provide our students opportunities to get out to those work sites, earn their credits, and build our schedule to allow them the time to do so.
Thank you.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yeah, I really like where Mr. Saviano is going. I think over the last 6 months or so, we've heard from a lot of folks in the community that say not every child is going to go to college. Not every child wants to go to college, or that's their destination. And we don't want to leave those children behind that aren't going to go to college. And And I think Mr. Saviano has it right, and we can think outside the box, and where we don't necessarily have to go buy a home and build a home, we could build a wall. And a wall could have every type of plumbing fixture, elbow, whatever you want, and the kids could work on that wall, or they could work to wire up a panel on a wall, and then they get some learning here before we go put them on a job site where they might be a liability to somebody else who, and you know, as Dr. Andre was saying, we got to be careful of the insurance. So I think if we think outside the box, I think that there's definitely some opportunities that we can provide these children that college might not be their landing spot.
Thanks. I will make my questions very quick. I just want to clarify something else. When you say the AP test, it's now a requirement that kids in AP courses are required to take the test.
And that has been our expectation and requirement, at least for the last 3 years that I've been here, and it predates me.
Okay, so in those 3 years and possibly before that, the same thing was true that in those past 3 years, if a student is in an AP course and opts out of the AP test, they surrender, as you said, that AP status.
That's correct. It becomes, it just becomes a little bit more difficult at that point to get the designation and the waiting out, but that is essentially, it's the same. They lose the weight, they lose the designation.
Yeah,
They just lose it in May versus.
it's interesting to think about from this side of things, because I'm just sitting here thinking of it as this is something we require, but there's a cost to it. So it's a little tricky.
And it's something that College Board requires, like, in order to receive AP designation on a course, a student must take the AP exam.
Another question I have is, how are, and Mr. Ramos touched on it a little bit, but just more broadly, I'm interested to know how new courses are determined. So, and this might sound ridiculous, but I mean, is there like a student suggestion box? Is there, do you look for student input on, you know, things that they may be looking for at the school that don't currently exist?
I would say there's not a student suggestion box, but it definitely comes,
That would be fun to go through.
It would be fun. It does come from a variety of locations, you know, from student council, from students with academic advisors, from teachers working with Roger Williams University developing a course, and then proposals are written, and so they write a proposal, you know, and then we present that to the curriculum office.
Okay. My last question was about the new school counseling department designation. Yep, I'm just wondering, is that essentially just a name change, or is there different training that's required for someone who's you know, with the designation of counseling in there? How does that change what that